coachee recently wrote in their application form. I want to feel more confident in my direction. I want to know what steps to take. I want to feel more purposeful. And I know this will resonate with you. It definitely resonates with me. So, welcome back to the Believe in Growth video broadcast. My name is Dr. Satguru, medical doctor and high performance coach. This channel is where we fuse the wisdom of compassion and the science of high performance to help you grow exponentially. Let's get straight to it. First of all, I've got to share with you that without a sense of direction, our lives are filled with anxiety and stress. You know, there's that famous Rumi quote, to have a riff on it, to paraphrase it. He says, when we run after what we think we want, our lives are filled with stress and anxiety, a furnace of stress and anxiety. But when we actually align with what we truly want, we realize that it wants us also. And it's waiting for us, calling out for us. So why do we need direction? Well, first of all, it makes us happier. One of the most clear findings from the positive psychology literature, from people like Martin Seligman, my friend, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and of course people as well like Robert Emmons and Carol Ruff, purpose researchers, they very clearly say that purpose makes us happier. From the University of Edinburgh in 2014. Now, they measured people's sense of purpose with questionnaires and they scanned people's brains with a functional MRI scanner. Well, they found that people with an increased or heightened sense of purpose had increased activation in the insular cortex. This is the empathy center of our brain. And we all know how vital relationships are. And a key part of connecting with people is expressing empathy, understanding things, saying, I feel you. You know, Aristotle said happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, but it's one of these beautiful, synergistic, back to front things that purpose also makes you happier. So happiness, it's not even a question. We know that we're going to feel happier when we're moving in the right direction. So first up is psychology. Of course, if you are going to perform at your best, be consistent, be happy, then you need to learn how to master your mind, how to take control of your psychology, how to accept the challenges, accept your fears, forgive yourself, and move forward with gratitude and optimism. And so one of the key structures, one of the key features, if you like, of this is understanding the broaden and build theory, something I speak about very frequently, and is very key in the research of positive psychology from Barbara Friedrichsen, which tells us that the point of our positive emotions is to broaden our horizons and build our future resources for later. To remind us of this famous nun study where they looked at the autobiographical accounts of nuns around, I think it was in the 1920s, 1930s, and they found that the nuns who lived the longest had the most amount of positive words, the positive talk about themselves. That positive view of self helped build the body's resources to cope with the natural challenges of life, of health, of the law of entropy, where we naturally get poorly through inflammation and oxidative stress and immune problems that happen as we get older. We know in psychology, and I've spoken about this before, there's this beautiful confidence-competence loop. Confidence is about self-belief. And confidence isn't general, it's specific. The more you practice something, the more you become confident in it. When you ask yourself this question, what can I feel confident in today? You will be present with what your sense of purpose is in that day. Now, it doesn't have to be some big, massive transformational purpose. It could be being fully vibrant with your child. It could be being connected to a loved one or a work colleague, or it could be a skill that you're developing at that time. What can I feel confident in today? That's the vital question. The second pillar is physiology. Okay, no prizes here. Of course, my medical background will tell you that you are clearly not going to be able to perform at your best if your physiology is off, if you're not fully focused, vibrant, of energy, full of good health. And one of the key principles I can speak about here is the fact that our brain is 2% of our body weight, yet takes 20% of our blood flow and up to 30% of our calories. So true. I remember a coaching client who I saw, a coachee who was really struggling with low energy, and all we asked them to do is to monitor their judgments by keeping note of it on their hands, monitor their complaints, criticisms, comparisons. Within weeks, they came back amongst many things, and they said that their energy had significantly been reduced because they were thinking light and not always right. is I want you to explore curiosities. Again, think of that famous Steve Jobs quote. Listen to your heart and intuition, listen to your feelings. They somehow know who you truly want to become. Now, this is a nuanced thing, guys, because sometimes what we're hearing is the negative voice in our mind and not our higher self. The higher self is the one that's got the long-term view. The chimp, if you like, from Steve Peters, to use his great analogy, the chimp is the kind of the negative mind, the one that says, sit on the sofa, eat crisps, eat chips, don't go out, don't connect with people, don't follow your purpose. But your higher self is that little voice, probably a little quieter. Every now and again you hear it, and it's urging you to remove this mask that people have us on, this social mask that we carry. It's urging you to break free of any social barriers, to be fearless, to be free, to be focused and have direction. As always, I would say, think on paper. People who are most successful, they write things down. They don't just think about their curiosities, they get out sheets of paper and they learn from them. So I'd like you guys to try that. Try and literally get a bit of paper, write down what you're curious about, write down industries like wellness, personal growth. Is it sleep? Is it that you're really into the mind, learning about neurobiology? Get specific. Choose the umbrella term and get specific. Let's move on to the next pillar. Next pillar is productivity. You hear me speak about this a lot. The famous Ivy Lee method, which I've spoken about quite a few times, where Ivy Lee went and completely transformed Charles Schwab's business in 1918 through a very simple technique of prioritization. If you right now are watching this and you're saying, I don't have the time to watch this, I've got so much to do, I'm so busy. It's like, okay, can you show me a list of your priorities? Have you prioritized prioritization? And this is something that so few people do because we are resistant to do the meaningful work, the long-term work that truly helps us. Pillar number 5, one of my favorites, purpose. We know that purpose, having a direction, having focus, having clarity is the very thing that will help you be able to move forward and create your dream life. And if you do not have a purpose, well, we know that your health suffers, your happiness suffers, and your wealth will suffer too. And there was a famous study quite recently in JAMA, in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2019, where they sent well-being questionnaires to 7,000 people, and they found a significant reduction in all-cause mortality when people had a sense of purpose. The study went on to say that a sense of purpose is what we call a modifiable risk factor. This is like stopping smoking or reducing weight or blood pressure. These are all things that are within our control. So when you have a sense of direction, it's like nature is telling you that you need to live a longer, healthier life. There's also loads of research from Carol Ruff, and really it concludes with the following things: that a direction or sense of purpose will reduce cardiovascular disease, reduce your cholesterol, reduce stress hormones. In fact, Napoleon Hill says a definiteness of purpose is one of the key features of you performing at your best. Again, I know this to be true in so many of my coaching clients. Just through the process of understanding who they are, understanding what words represent their best self, that is how they become more purposeful. They realize that whatever physical thing they want, it's actually due to a feeling. And so you can become more intentional just through understanding what makes you feel good and you lining your actions up to the feelings that represent your best self. Is presence. Presence, of course, is a big challenge when our attention is being pulled in so many directions. But how can you be expected to create your dream life if you're not focusing on the moment, on being present, on making sure that you strengthen this connection between your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala, that you're not always looking for that next thing, looking for threats, and you're just filled with that beautiful feeling of serotonin in the moment. What I find so incredibly fascinating about purpose is that it really links quite closely with presence. See, when we're fully present and completely immersed and there's no rumination in what we're doing, that feeling of immersive presence is like feedback from the world telling us that this is what you're meant to be doing, is to learn key skills, learn competencies. So how do you go about learning competencies? Well, a while ago, before I started on this coaching journey, I was very inspired by a number of people who had done phenomenal work in this field. And of course, I learned heavily from them. I listened to them, I paid attention, and most importantly, I implemented what they said. They spoke about learning skills, starting to build skills, having the mindset of a learner and not just trying to do before you can actually learn and practice and be proficient at the skill. Now, success leaves clues, right? Tony Robbins famously said that. It's so easy to think of this. Let's say you want to be a health coach. You can find health coaches that seriously inspire you. You can look at the key skills they have. Maybe their key skills are speaking on video. Maybe their key skills are writing blog posts. Maybe a key skill is the way they connect with other people around them. And then all you need to do is write those skills down and make a strong intention to start learning. It's called dip your toe. So many of us get stuck in the learning phase. Now, I know there's some medical professionals who are watching these videos, and let's be honest, guys, you love learning, and that's a good thing. I love learning too. But remember, there's no point in having a direction if you're not moving. So, right, we want the ladder to be resting on the right wall, i.e. to have the right direction, but we also want to be moving up the ladder to continually be seeing, are we getting to the right place? And clarity doesn't just come from thought, it doesn't just come from thinking and learning and knowledge, it comes from action, it comes from you actually implementing the stuff. But it's hard, it's difficult, I don't want to set up that website, it's just overwhelming. So the problem here is not that the task is too big, it's that we haven't learned to chunk it down, one step at a time. But remember, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I will see you guys next week. Make sure you get in touch and let me know how you're getting on.